Did you know that for this movie, according to Keanu Reeves, he did 90% of his own stunts? The John Wick movies, in my opinion, are some of the best action movies of all time. Definitely the best action franchise I've ever seen. I remember the first time I ever heard of John Wick and why people were talking about him, and now all these years later, I'm a huge fan of the whole John Wick universe, and it's always fun going back and rewatching all these John Wick movies just to see, what really made us fall in love with John Wick to begin with. So for this movie, I have three things that I loved, and the last thing is definitely my favorite. First thing I loved about this movie is the story and just the whole world building surrounding this movie. This is, the first time we're ever getting introduced to the characters, into the world of John Wick, who John is, just the hardship he's gone through, but also just understanding the underworld, the assassin world, what the Continental is, just how the assassins work, how all these different roles are important, the hierarchy of everything. It's just such an intriguing world. It just really pulls you in to the depths of what it is. The whole John Wick franchise is an original idea, and I love that. I just love when you see original ideas like this just really take off and people fall in love with it. But there are a couple things that John Wick did pull inspiration from. A big one is the Continental. That idea of a place where all the assassins would be in a neutral area, a neutral ground where they couldn't do any killing or whatever, that's actually inspired from Casablanca. There's a spot in the movie where it's a neutral site where opposing people can't fight, can't do anything. It's just a place to relax and get along, and then once they're outside the neutral area, then they go back to killing each other. It's also inspired by director John Woo and his films. The Man from Nowhere is a Korean action film, Point Blank, The Matrix. It pulled from Japanese inspiration, Samurai and the Warrior Code. It pulls from a lot of different sources, but it gives you an overall original feel. It just really deepens the culture of the assassins and how there is a hierarchy, and if the hierarchy is disrespected, there is grave consequences, as we can see. They have to adhere. It's not the Wild West. It may seem like the Wild West at times, but it's actually quite organized. And then the story is really not complicated at all. It's an insanely simple storyline, and that's what I like about this, because there's so much action in the movie. You kind of don't really think about the storyline anymore, but it's really a man who's trying to start over, and then these punk guys came out of nowhere and didn't really know who he was because they're stupid, and killed his dog and just beat the crap out of him, and he just was trying to get out of that world. This is where he starts to get back into it. But just like a man seeking revenge, you can't get any more classic than that. A man who's hell-bent on revenge. And I just love it. I love when storylines are simple and there's no complexity to it. There's not really multiple storylines going on. There's only maybe a couple, but they're very simple. And really the main storyline is John Wick is just getting his revenge on everyone who had to do with killing his dog and beating him up, stealing his car, all that. And then of course the legend of John Wick is explained. We get a little more, we get to find out, why he's so feared. So the beginning of the Baba Yaga, the beginning of understanding who John Wick is and why he should be as feared as he is. And then another little thing that I love about the John Wick movies that has to go with just the creativity and just the cinematography of it all is, if you pay attention in each John Wick movie, there are different color tones, and each color tone represents a certain emotion you're supposed to feel, a certain emotion John is feeling. So the first John Wick movie, you'll notice a lot of blues, a lot of reds. Sometimes you get a combination of blue and red, and of course blue is calm-headed, cool, and then red is anger, passion, and then so whenever you see John in control, there will always be blue. When he's cool-headed, you always see blue. When he's going crazy, you will see red, and then sometimes you will see him kind of fight between the blue and the red, between control and not control, between violence and peace, stuff like that. It's really a phenomenal use of colors. Really is an important aspect of these movies that I'm sure a lot of people do realize what these colors represent, but for those who don't, it's something to really take note of, because it adds those extra details, deepen the story, deepen the character, deepen the emotions that you're supposed to feel with John. Second thing I loved about this movie is the action off the charts, very brutal, very just no holds barred. I just absolutely love the action, the choreography in this, because it is directed by Chet Stolsky, who is a stuntman himself. Really having respect for the stunt world. Like I said in the beginning, Keanu does most of his own stunts, and when you watch these stunts that he goes through, these are the kind of stunts that you put your body through hell. Crazy, crazy things that the normal human body could not take. You have to be really, really in great shape, but you also have to do it the right way. It has to be executed the right way, or you definitely risk killing yourself, breaking tons of bones, serious, serious damage, maybe even permanent damage. These stunts are for real, and that's one of the big things people always love about the John Wick movies, is you can always expect some of the craziest stunts you've ever seen. You know, it all adds to the persona of who John Wick is. Like, he's a man who can take anything. He can take any punch, he can take any bullet, he can take any knife, he can take whatever you throw at him, and he will keep coming ahead. And that's what makes the character of John Wick so formidable and honestly terrifying. And then my favorite scene of the movie is the club scene. It's our first introduction to, you know, the classic John Wick fighting style, and how he just goes on a killing rampage, and just the utilization of music, but also the utilization of the colors that I talked about. Red and blue are present, and just him going absolutely crazy on these guys in all sorts of different ways, all in the name of revenge, all in the name of you picked the wrong guy, the wrong day to mess with the wrong guy, and they were just, you know, the typical sons of warlords and kingpins who are just dumb and ignorant and feel like consequences don't apply to them. And then when you piss off someone like John Wick, the Baba Yaga, who is very real, because they all thought he was just a joke, you know, he was just a myth, but then they still couldn't believe that he was doing all this over a dog, you know, because their brains were so small that they couldn't wrap their mind around the fact that it was a lot more than just a dog. And of course, you can feel every punch, every shot. You can just feel the raw anger and the raw emotions, because it's all him. It's an outlet for him. He's letting out all of his anger, all of these emotions, and his hurt and his loss and his pain on the people who deserve it the most. So I highly recommend. Definitely check out the John Wick movies again, because we got Ballerina coming out in June. That movie's going to be amazing. I cannot wait to see how that movie really adds on to the John Wick universe, expanding it. And of course, Keanu is returning for that movie. So I'm just so excited. I'm rewatching all the John Wick movies, getting them out there in anticipation for Ballerina. So for John Wick, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10 Mudflaps. And remember, leave me a thumbs up and drop in the comments below. What's your favorite John Wick movie? See you soon.